Okay, so that's but we're looking to the information right now. That's what like the young lady picture right now it's showing up in front of the black stone, some strange outfit, like a raging bull outfit, like I'm going to bring to definitely a training outfit. That's definitely my position. And yeah, I mean, right now we're planning on giving that ultimate training, which he will be like absolutely necessary precisely because like I'm going to bring the third one today, like the blast book crew are going to head out on their mission to precisely attack like the hideout of like the implement network, which campus differing will be even then the fact that like the thing to just even being able to find out like the right now being able to like find out like the hideout of the child the network exactly that would be like the total like track that to like precisely lure the black book precisely with like the black book literally having like uppercut and uppercut all sorts of like boards like steal the milestone of like the implement from recently since like specifically the Lightning Group itself that has played that basically played like the major role in like stopping all of like the plans of missions of like the implement and delivering like the implement like ancient and early school did obviously on the delivering will be like the main layer of like the implement he would have right now set like the destruction and of like the Lightning Group as their highest priority for them to like for them to be able to like get the remaining say milestone. It should be right now currently present in like which of things like Julius is Catholic, especially with the so definitely my personal impressions that like this will be the fact that Julius right now has is able to like most likely will be by now will be would have figured out like the side of like the middle and as to like the Julius even knowing certain information will be precisely the path set to set precisely through William as it's like I'm for instance like the working even to the person will be having like absolutely no doubt or suspicion at all when connecting to like William and the brain will be William as that might have totally innocently and in a total state in like a total state and innocent manner like really uh, so they also like William and basically struggled and worked hard and basically has like achieved this thing that like he actually worked hard and found out the current whereabouts of location of the type of something like so we along the lines in which like the William and would have like presented or like made here to Julius as like how exactly he plan to be able to find like the hideout of the type of the and actually it will definitely get so set for like the Lightning Pro. It's definitely my consideration. So that like the item and William by now will be like well fully aware that like the people like they set up for the trap and give certain information, false information to let them to think. The doing this will be straight away sending once again sending like the Blacklist Pro to precisely attack like the what changes at that point it will be like the base of like the item and anthem. So it will be like a total fake place that will be like made to appear as if like it's like the base of like the implementation. So in there like that place and that place would be like precisely fully tracked with like all sorts of high level magic like that's to like trap like the black was like the effort over like the implementation would be able to like certainly planning on like especially trapping like the black through there and basically that way like not only taking all their license that way destroying like the black through from that because of the current obstacle of like the representation like the black before, but also through that like they like insurance really soon we're only planning on also that way stealing like being able to steal like as does demon dweller and demon slayer sword as well as does like by claw Wilmer as well. And then for like them also like basically head off to like head off and launch like like laser and grand scale attack on like the claw kingdom where like Emperor the ring like it would be like a great army of like the extermination will be precisely sent to like attack like the claw kingdom. And that would be like a total distraction by like the strongest one from like the extermination, like basically the percentage as well as like Raya and those different like Metro as well by now would have notoriously record for like them three are going to like secretly infiltrate while all of this attacks and like chaos will be happening in like the claw kingdom that being done to create that perfect distraction while like people like Araya and Vector and the percentage would be like secretly gently infiltrating into like the resisting palace to precisely steal the magic stone. So and they will also have that precise intent because of like especially because like of like the ancient necessarily having like so much threat towards like the very conservative thing. Definitely, like even through like the long line of descendants, like even the Sundale, with the thing like Judas as well, would be like solely due to like him even holding the position of like being like the thing. Definitely think the ancient ancestor literally have like that special grasp or like that special extreme desire to like specific desire to like get revenge on like Julian and take the life of Julian. It's definitely also my personal. So like by sending like percentages as well as like Ryan better to take a infiltrate into like the palace to simultaneously take good life as well as kill the remaining three nice stones that will be currently presenting at the Julius of Castle. Precisely while all the other magic knights would be like attracted and drawn to this side distraction caused by like the remaining Iron army through their attack in like the floor. Yeah. This would be like what the plan, the current plan of like the ancient ancestors is definitely my personal which he will get only planning on executing the killing of this program. So like even eventually it's like scenario as well that I'm with all the race. So like eventually once this would all be happening and still sticking to my personal memories that like the ancient ancestors would still be like remotely controlling like the people like Raya and Beto as well as like the personnel itself. Like, particularly my those interventions. The ancient ancestor like himself won't be like showing up to like the clock kingdom anytime soon. It's definitely my those intervention that is continuing on to. So yeah. Yes, so like the fundamentals in the version right now is like Yami's like current costume being like a festival costume and Yami currently planning on taking the black school to a festival like compulsory thing. Usually exactly because like Yami would be totally feeling sorry for like the own black so especially due to like them not being able to catch separate from like being repeatedly without much like without even a break like them have being forced to like repeatedly fight off all these like great number of enemies from like the Diamond Kingdom to like now like the Fox of Witches and like the Eternites and like it's like each and every single time like since like the Black Hills simply can't catch a break like I'm just reporting like and right now with like the under the second about the generation the present situation would be like Julius by now might have told me detailed out and about like the present location of like the hideout of like the uh, of like the Eternites and like Yami and Julius might have totally told Yami that like you well, that your entire Black Hills like totally head off to that place hideout and stop the IFM and precisely since like Julius right now is like also knows of like the news that basically the IFM is about to make their move and even that news that the IFM are right now delay are going to about to make their move as well would be like a precisely a trap set for like set to like precisely lure like the black through into like that precise fake hideout location. It's definitely not the winner, precisely because like by creating such a situation and making it seem convincing enough to like serious through like the managers like basically like fans might have totally expected like there was a thing so to like basically as without much delay send off like the blackness through with like the order of successfully stops like that the winners before like they will be making their move on like the on attacking on to like basically attack like the block kingdom. So like precisely that way to like as soon as possible to clearly or the flag is going to that fake side out with precisely the plan of vengeance who would be like vengeance and like the coming as well as technically not the reimbursement. So definitely like since like this would be like the kind of situation does it only pertaining like Yami would be totally feeling sorry that basically even as like the Yami would be able to totally see that like the end of it like that like right now finally saying that they are about to catch a break and basically right and like them having their next mission to like precisely right and like the base of like that base itself of like the ISM in that which would be what Yami will be generally feeling like they will all be like not realize that it would be like a failing base that should be set up the front. So like Yami will be totally as well like this will be really like it would be like the actual base of like the ISM that they are going to be raiding or attacking. So like Yami will be totally would be able to totally think would be totally think that this would be like the biggest mission that they would have like attempted until now, and so like it will be way more extra difficult than all the other missions they have like his command like that was so have taken upon. Precisely because this is the base of like the powerful being of powerful winners organization like ISM in itself. So the strongest and everyone strongest of the awesome there and their army will present in like that case will be what Yami will be expecting. So like especially so like a raid there would be would be extremely difficult and would be like such extreme hard work to possibly successful. Like Yami will be only right now feeling sorry for his own like so and this will be like the precise reason for like Yami right now showing up in like the festival costume and deciding to like take like strangely acting out of character and deciding to like take his like entire and like this goes to a festival. It's definitely my personal career to give them that like final bit of like happiness before like they would be before Yami was planning on breaking the news that like they are going to have their next mission and it's going to be like right then itself and basically it's going to be their toughest mission yet like basically this would be like the reason for Yami right now showing up in like the costume is definitely my personal career. So like definitely my personal impression right now is like the staff festival being like the biggest festival and like the biggest event and all that. Like about different like staff festival will be totally different from like the staff ceremonies like thing. Definitely where like Asta for like the first time had seen characters like Vermilion as well as like Leopold. It's definitely my personal when they were on one of like the and I'm also bringing that staff ceremony since it was like basically the individual performing like night squad members that were granted and given stars by the individuals like it would be like maybe like that star ceremony that after had like seen for like the first time like way back in the past like basically that might have been like more of like a private kind of like ceremony star giving ceremony while like the present day current star festival would be like the like official main the main popular event like known mainly main big popular event is definitely my business famous and where like precisely for like the public where the public gets are allowed to be of attendance while like this staff are given by Julius. And it will be only concerning just like the match like squad alone as to towards the end of the year which Magic Knight squad gets like some part which like basically around such lines. Like it will be just about like the Magic Knight squad alone rather than any of like the squad members like being given any of staff in this exact staff festival. Definitely my preference. Hence why like I'm preferring there will definitely be that classification between like the staff ceremony and like the private staff ceremony as well as like the popular staff festival event. It's definitely my personal assertion. So also, right now, my considering pregnant for like the staff festival and the preparing it would be like the moment where like the Black Bull School will be getting the huge big moment. That it is like the staff festival is such a big and popular, the biggest and popular event that like having such a huge audience. Like I'm considering like in front of all of that great audience, like huge audience, like currently I'm considering like the 15 Juliet like specifically specifically mentioning like the Black so that they are extreme growth and they made their exceptional performance, especially because of like the Black Pro having like I'm different by now, like the Black Pro might have not only through like the Black Pro, like the things might have gotten in total three men's strokes. Like I'm different. Two of them would be from one from like the one like the underwater temple as well as like from like the recent like pop stuff, which is like basically so like Pro might have brought and given Julius like two milestone on top of like bring like the place milestone that like especially narrow might have might even might I think he had given to Saskia precisely from Old Man C he's like shown way back then as well. So like collectively so kind of a total of three milestones like which would be like extremely precious to would be something that like the Julius will be seeing as extremely precious to have in like the current situation is like I the minutes and like basically Julius would be having like kind of like a vague idea to like what they would be like precisely trying to achieve precisely that like the I of the minutes and the fact that like the certain definitely I'm super by now like Julius would be especially since just now during Julius a recent private interaction with like I think Jan like Julius was even talking about like another fight like that would be only Julius even fearing the possibility that basically with like the current situation being like the information about to make their move, like if they launch another attack on like the clock and then that way get their hands on like the remaining three match stones in like Julius' position, then at that point like they will be able to like resurrect their that precise exact demon giant star demon from like the legends and hence like another battle, another war, like that will be what like Julius might have meant, especially in the position so like maybe this much like Julius might actually know that the Eternites are descendants of like those like elf tribe. It might be something like Julius would be might be like well and fully aware of when like especially my putting the reimbursement. So precisely because of this reason, like the fact that like the Black Disco specifically were like the and only match spot to like basically bring like Julius three magic stones, get the fifth magic stone, and that magic stones being like to this function being like the only thing that stopping like the implementation in being like able to like authorize like that agenda payment. It's like because of this reason I'm considering and especially when like Julius if you are fully aware as to like they having like kind of like an idea of like especially since like Julius had in fact fought up against like at one point. But the only current Julius would be having like the absolute idea as to like how exceptionally strong like the Abdomination group would be and just specifically since like those groups really have multiple times like obstructed and destroyed like the missions of like the European nitron as well as were able to like retrieve and give like the thing three net stone all through their extreme hard work like precisely like Julius will be currently so extremely pleased with like the performance of like the specifically like the Black Wings so far that I'm delivering in the precise upcoming Star Festival and they're only putting in front of that huge audience and those different thing like the Black Group getting that special mention and that special like congratulations from like the and praising from like Julius is like the scenario that in front of like the entire crowd and that way like the Black Group the through that like consider so far consider that until that point it might have been would have it's considered as like the worst management squad will be like all of a sudden with like the adapted to the remaining night squads like and that squad kept having that absolute shock of like to phrasing like the specifically and solely phrasing like the black Coat so much even more than every other squad and basically that way the black Pro getting finally getting their moment and getting that huge spotlight and that is in front of like the entire audience and in front of all the other night squad and like the squad captains and basically all that so like that way, like I'm the suffering like this again praising not just the black so but like I'm the suffering since like after like the protagonist I'm the suffering like after when perpetually only getting like an extra praise along with like the black pro like after getting a special mention by like Julius as well in like the scenario that I'm the suffering and all this being like totally unexpected for like even Yami as well as like the entire crypto like and even as like the scenario that I was delivering and them totally like the entire like pro totally lighting up and even Yami is struggling hard to like totally contain his like joy and excitement at like that for getting of that ultimate praise from Julius and all that like and about delivering Julius totally and with that so the after that phrase like I'm delivering Julius even revealing that like Julius basically that the Black Hills Pro currently stands at like third position like the scenario that I'm delivering. So with the king right now would be like a Black Hills currently who are in like minus 50 star points like uh, that all the remaining match squad currently have like positive, even the lowest match squad like that's like second up when compared to like Black Pro that even has like positive 50 star points like I'm considering the Black Pro right now during the star festival I'm considering this is like giving the Black Pro being so extremely impressive like the Black Pro performance so far that like considering in front of the entire public and everyone like the king granting like the Blacklist Pro so much stars that I'm bringing the Blacklist Pro will be taking that great jump to from like the very last position at minus 50 to like basically being like the third in like the ranking where in like the doctor trying in terms of stuff like I'm considering the Black Crew taking that huge jump and ending up at third position, but like the Golden Dawn still remaining at like the first position in terms of like total star points, but like the Silver Eagle taking like the still taking the second position, but like the Black Crew like totally contrary to like everyone's expectations, like ending up being like third position. It's like the imagine scenario that I'm looking for like this. It's like to see of like after it's like the scenario that I'm looking for. So instantly like the black bulls who Madness got who were like who might have been like until this at that point were like totally ignored by like the Lixanathon and ignored by like all the remaining matchmates, but all of a sudden like right now from that point on like looking at like the black bulls who there's like such extreme rivalry and jealousy is like the scenario that I'm going to be recording to happen through this like the first Star Festival. Certainly, my personal impression as well, like the predictions concerning this like Star Festival. Okay, so like definitely my personal impression right now as for like the precise people that Asta right now wants to like bring along with that black to like Star Festival. I'm also bring it to precisely like the space of fans and Dominante as well as like Maria. Like it's definitely my total impression and precisely Asta would be like empathetic enough to like think about them precisely because like Asta would be well fully aware with like them actually being from like the Diamond Kingdom and can like Asta by now will totally having an idea like even after like it's saving Pana basically from through the interaction between Master and Pana and everything like basically Asta by now would be like when fully aware as to like how much of like a kind of like dark kind of like and disturbing life like basically like the people of like in like the Rand Kingdom were like living and all that. So like Asta would be totally able to like empathize with like precisely people like Marielle, Dominante as well as Spanson. So like I'm just bringing like this like festival like huge being like the biggest festival of like biggest festival of like the Lord and basically hence it being that much exciting. So like as I would want like them all to like basically for like them like and as I would be well fully aware that like people like Phantom, Dominant and Maria might have never even experienced like such a festival or any sort of festival ever in their life. So like definitely as I would be right now thinking totally empathetic to like share their happiness with like his piece of fans as well as like Dominant as well as Maria. Like would be what Asta would be right now planning, and these would be like the first people that Asta would be right now wanting to like bring along like the black people to like Star Festival, stuff like that, mention, and I'm going to bring in that process Star Festival according to my personal series in terms of totally working for Julius to like precisely give that special mention and congratulate like the Black Pro and specifically give that special mention to like Asta as well and even like with like the Black Pro like who is like totally most likely definitely raising like the Black Pro position by giving them a lot of stars looking to like the Black Pro raising precisely third position in like the official ranking list of stars and also like with like the working giving that special mention and praise to like Asta as well. And also bring all that like that moment to happen and basically that being like that absolute prideful moment for like precisely as that teacher fans and it's definitely my personal interest right there because like as even before all that happening like right now in like the person like fans would be like totally right now seeing like as that as if like that student that he has taught. So like basically that student like basically like the fact that like definitely fans would be like totally absolutely feeling prideful and joyful if like any of the like when like any of the like students make any sort of achievements and especially right now fans will be totally absolutely prideful and happy thinking about like the fact that like both Mars as well as like Lagros were able to like finally come to their senses and basically turn to the side of it like basically all their change all that might have been something like that fans right now would be like absolutely joyful and prideful about like so on top of that, like it's like as the like in like the Star Festival and considering on like so this would be like giving that special mention to like Asta that would be as well would be like a great pride moment for like Phantom as like a teaser of like Asta. is like prevention scenario that I'm considering cancel totally being offset is like prevention scenario that I'm considering emergency temperature. Like the infection removed that they do especially because of this very same reason that like I'm sorry that from one of the left cat goes to like the staff the supplementation temperature to give that brand new experience to them as well. And I'm considering like and as that definitely thinking about the feminism right now that if that's not going to just stop if like as one cat like after the government once again going up different trial and telling going trial to like and would be like if we after bringing government care to that as I was remembering about like uh fit like Ethan cancel as well as like dominant Maria like bringing them into the real as well. So at that only nagging central and like after only like making for simple once again using a situation and like bringing the three of them like cancel dominant as well as like Marielle and then bring like they will be really showing up with the absolute mistake totally prevent to prevent like anyone from that maybe possibly recovering like their identity as to like their origin being from like the time of human and all that. So that way like considering and at that point like people from like Asta friends from like the time of kingdom like dominant Marielle as well as instance and like meeting up for seeing like such as from like the order temple like Kiato as well as like Kahono for like the first time and them like totally bonding and creating having a bond of friendship being formed within them as well. It's like the scenario that I'm considering and but still I'm considering eventually for like things might be going wrong as well as like a remote possibility that I'm discovering as for like maybe especially something like Kahono as well as Kiato are not allowed say into that if I think they are not allowed to even to the present they are not allowed to enter into like the anywhere into like the Clover kingdom like since like the people from like the underwater central are like basically forbidden from entering into like the city and they are forced to like basically stay at the beach of like location like I'm supposed to protect maybe someone recognizing Kahono as well as Kiato as like people from like the underwater central maybe it's like a scenario so like that way like the breaking of a rule like basically such a scenario of like a situation happening and maybe after getting into trouble for like basically breaking the rule like and then the different leagues was to be executed by King Augustus it's definitely my book in the reimbursement and specifically my book in the reimbursement that's the reason for like the as well as Kahono being so desperate to like to want to be like singing and dancing idols potentially to make all that great money especially because like that would be like the only way that Kahono is there to using as like their only chance to make a lot of money using that money like they will be like well will be sure that basically using that money and using like cat Jesus like position as like the roller of like the one temple like basically they could like get cat to work to like King Augustus and basically I think like absolutely like was the only person who's like even have like the power and authority who's even allowed to basically even enter into like the cities and all that. The only person from like the environment who's have like the permission to like express definitely what I think and that would be very about. Definitely to totally using that power of cats is to like basically for like Kahono as well as like theater to make a lot of money by basically becoming singing dancing idols that basically and by being like singing dancing perfecting their skills and being singing dancing idols and I'm think like basically maybe like there will be this like competition or like something for like to like where like singing and dancing idols would be like selected is that it's definitely a good movie. So like it will be only in that competition in like the cities that like around like maybe like season from like the underwater rumble will have permission to even enter. So also definitely a good movie. And while like they will be able to like basically prove themselves as like they're them being talented enough to become singing dancer to actually perform as like singing dancing idols in like the city. So like basically that way for so that like they will be able to like make by working that job like then wanting to like make all that money so that like they will be only hoping that but in hoping to like eventually give all that money to Capus and get Capus to meet King Augustus and hand over all that money to the King Augustus so that like they will be hoping that that way at least King Augustus will be like giving permission to like the entire representative of the water temple to be able to like live among live like the surface along with everybody else. Like would be what like the ultimate goal of that would be the ultimate goal of like a home as well as like yeah, it was definitely my personal interest. So still right now since like in like the present they have not achieved that goal but they were like maybe like Kahono and Kiato totally getting into trouble for like as like innocent decision to like bring Kahono and Kiato to like the to this like staff as well. And even though Asta would be like, I think like might be like well by now would be well fully aware of like the people of example what member like being forbidden from entering into like cities like in like stuff of like still delivering Asta innocently might have probably see them as like fellow humans and basically might have really forgotten about all these rules and basically that and I'm considering like the as of like invitation to like the into the staff as well might have been like too tempting for like here theater as well as like the whole of that like they them as well might have like probably innocently forgotten about all the roles and might have shown up to this like staff festival super within like the staff festival is also like definitely my consideration. So like specifically like Kahono as well as yeah, totally getting into trouble like an eventual scenario possibly in like staff as well that I probably know the correct and my considering. So like definitely my consideration question right now is that like, it might have been definitely genuinely like Asta and Asta alone due to like due to Asta's like extreme kind-heartedness and genuine extreme empathy that basically might have been Asta alone that even while during in such while being present in such such like worried like situation for Asta himself with like Asta having like all the issues with like arms and everything and that's being faced with like the uncertainty he will be like his own house and all that. Like or maybe it might have been interesting after like as the Queen of Wisdoms had basically helped heal as the but still even after that like it seems like it was like the middle of like the war. But like even then like even if it was like even after like the whole war and like the Queen of Wisdoms was over like and even after like the Queen of Wisdoms as well was defeated like still even if it was after all that, like still the fact might have been remembers of that it might have definitely been Aska and Aska alone who might have been like genuinely been so might have that might have had that uh, extreme concern and genuine empathy and care for others, like which would be totally genuinely like really that necessary quality like that like actually truly what requires for someone to be like to hold the position of being like citizen. It's definitely my personal impression. That's basically my perspective. Like it might have been noticed even by Noel as well. My was like great, has to give great front with like Kahono and considering it might have still been only Asta alone that might have remembered about like Kahono as well as like Kiato after like the Queen of Wizards before after like the Queen of Wizards would have been as the like anyway before like leaving like the court of Wizards like my consideration might have been only Asta and Asta alone that might have remembered Kahono as well as Kiato that basically that Asta can use this magic to like heal them. The fact that Asta even remembered them Asta alone might not only remember them movie precisely because of that might be like that much of how much like feeling and Kahono as well as Kiato might have that much might have mattered and meant for like Asta. Like it might have mattered that much for Asta even way more than how much it mattered for even Noel to see like Kahono as well as Kiato getting killed. Like for Noel and considering it in Noel's life, like it might have been the highest priority for Noel might have been just to like see Asta getting killed. That basically Noel might have definitely even though like Kahono are like Kahono is like such a great friend, best friend of like Noel. Still Noel might have not even remembered about uh, he using like the QNS which is like magic to heal Kahono voice as well as yeah, those like definitely was it might have been and as alone that might have totally remembered this and might have like asked like the creative wisdom like after defeating like the creative wisdom which might have been totally and as alone that might have remembered and asked like the creative wisdom was this magic killing magic from like the creative wisdom definitely might have like the same intent to like for this day to like eventually once on returning back to like successfully feel both Kiato as well. Not eventually but like as soon as possible that on returning like when you heal Kiato as well as like Kahono. It's definitely my personal opinion. That would be like this quality of Aska would be that absolute like biggest quality and absolute requirements that one and only biggest requirement other than like superior strength, ultimate superior strength. This would be that main quality. That alongside that superior strength with equal priority and importance along with like that superior strength. That would be absolutely required to be for like an ideal perfect user case. That's definitely my consideration. So like definitely my consideration right now with like Insta using like the benefits of magic to like physically like theater as well as like in like the friends where like there are great number of people in that festival like around them like basically and considering like just to totally this incident to like basically totally attract all of their attention and basically and also on top of that like I'm considering Kiato as well as like Kahono right now uh, with like having that extreme unexpected thing happening in their lives it's like where like both Kiato as well as Kahono might have mostly lost all of their hope like especially Kiato might have definitely not never even expected to basically be able to like be feel so like them getting that biggest twist in their life is like them being them getting killed like I'm bring them totally that both Kahonas and Kiato right now not being able to like contain their whole joy and like absolute joy and excitement and all that I'm bring like both Kiato and Kahono right now like totally like letting out their whole emotions through like their singing and dancing and I'm bring like Kiato as well as like Kahono like Kahono on one side like singing in like the middle and that they are attracting attention and basically Kiato on the other side like dancing along with like Kahono like or in a no third manner like Kiato as well as dancing innocently like dancing alongside with Kahono but like I'm just differing like them both like totally at that point forgetting the fact that like attracting a lot of attention will be like eventually bringing in a lot of trouble for them. So like that's like the exact scenario that I'm considering, especially with like the costume of like that Kahono and Kiato would be are wearing like I'm considering maybe that to be most likely giving out their identities and them being from like the what members to like the people gathered around. So like at that point I'm considering maybe for like them only all those people gathering around Kahono and Kiato and then acting independently towards Kahono and Kiato and I'm also preferring then like I'm also preferring maybe like for the Star Festival maybe like as like a guest like King Augustus as well might show up so like maybe like or Kahono and Kiato only getting into possibly eventually getting into like serious trouble for like basically breaking the rules and basically entering into like the city in like the sort of as like people of like the Uncommon Offenders is like the scenario that I'm looking only putting in my consideration and I start only creating a scene at that point. And if that happens, then I was only putting I start to only create a scene and maybe even shout out or back to like even King Augustus and that only being seen as like of like great disrespect by King Augustus and King Augustus from that point on like the citizens are getting as and like the Black Hole rule and making life that much harder for as well like the Black so solely due to that instance is definitely also like an event scenario that I was referring. And I was referring at that point like yeah, there's a thing doing is like totally pleading to like King Augustus to like basically to like totally spare Asta and basically to not punish Asta or like the like so like basically I'm so referring like to because like the ultimate authority and power will be in like King Augustus position even though you don't have any sort of like exceptional man or like when it comes to like as like on the third like it won't be like a powerful wizard or anything like but still even though the thing Julius would be like currently the strongest wizard like still I'm referring in terms of like power and position like basically like King Augustus will be that person with like that ultimate authority and gets to take all the decisions. But still, I'm was different to it is like totally so like totally due to that reason like they is having to like totally please to like Augustus to like especially forgive as the as the role behavior and all that and I'm preferring like as they are being forced at that point and maybe even do this himself like telling us to basically say sorry to like Augustus and as the totally like being forced that way to like tell sorry to like King Augustus, even though Asta wouldn't be like would be feeling that as like absolutely wrong that he will keep feeling any sort of guilt at all. Like Asta at that point would be totally feeling that it would be King Augustus that needs to tell sorry to like Kahono as well as Kiato for his own details towards them, but like still Asta only respecting like the decision of like Julius and telling this like without any uh, without any guilt, like Asta, while feeling so wrong deep down, like still Asta, solely due to like Asta respecting like the injuries, like Asta telling sorry to like King Augustus. And like King Augustus as well, this character, King Augustus as well, being like marked into like Asta's mind, that this like this person that needs to be like that Asta would be like totally right now with like Asta's goal itself being for like not right now, but like Asta's long term goal already being like Asta, so badly wanting to be able to think like Asta or Tom in this in his mind that will eventually once Asta would be becoming like the king, Asta would be ensuring that like he somehow manages to like change the precise things about the person as well. It's definitely my person to remember. And as that already fixing in his mind that like once he becomes like the king that basically he will be ensuring that all of the people of the underwater temple gets to like actually live amongst like the humans in like the soft world. It's definitely which is like the winter scenario that I'm looking at only prepping and my looking to remember. Like definitely I think very interesting right now with like Kahono creating this like double date situation or like predicament for like for Noel. Like I'm going to bring like it could not eventually resulting in like Noel feeling like the extreme positive side of like Noel to like totally like eventually resulting in like basically still no one not being able to like in like it only eventually resulting in like no one only confessing to like eventually confessing secretly to Kahono alone that like no one's love has that. Which is like the eventual scenario that I'm considering. Still no one won't be having I'm considering no one will not be able to like be able to like build up the courage to be able to like currently like the person to be able to like express her true feelings to Asta and let Asta know. So like Asta still totally being cool even after like the double date as well. Like the scenario that I was considering, but still was departing like Noel should especially eventually secretly confess to especially Kahono that basically she loves and like Noel would be like struggling seriously extremely struggling to basically build up the courage to even be able for her to even be able to like confess and be genuine to Noel about her feelings for Asta. Uh, feelings to Kahono about like feelings towards Asta. It's like they will just scenario that I was super still at that point it's like Kahono the straight away telling Noah that that obviously that like she certainly knew that basically that all she did was like to basically get to give Noah that push to basically so that like no one would express her feelings to us that like but still I was separating like no one at that point being like relieved at that point at that very second I was separating Noel to be like fully relieved being at that realization that basically Kahono has absolutely like affectionate kind of like feelings towards like Asta or anything. So but like at that point, I'm also preferring like no one's totally tell Kahono that basically no one needs more time that basically she totally needs more time that she's still not ready to like express it to Asta. Be along the line, Noel will be telling to Kahono and like Kahono, even though Kahono won't be like won't be like totally against that basically giving Noel more time. The difference still Kahono like reluctantly agree to no, just that and basic. And personally, only something like Kiato to be like actually overhearing this like secret conversation between like uh, Kahono and Noel. It's like they were just that I was super. And at that point, like for Kiato, like heart getting that alternate heart rate and basically, but still Kiato totally being like totally being okay with it, like and basically definitely be grateful for like everything like Asta and Noah's did of like basically even things being having to like scaled up and then even saving like some of them and all that because like yeah, Joe will only appreciative of all and grateful of all that like yeah, Joe definitely totally being okay still even after that realization. And Kiato from that point on, like not seeing Noel as the like ultimate god that he wants to like really fall in love with. Like that whole thought of Kiato, like Kiato getting that whole thought, getting that whole thought of his mind from that point on is like that eventual scenario that I'm looking at everything. I'm able to remember. And from that point on, I was reflecting like it's not just seeing like Kahono's goal, ultimate goal alone, but also Kiato's ultimate goal as well. To not only be like not only achieve like their ultimate goal of like being singing, dancing idols and creating a lot of money, but like alongside that goal, like them also setting up both Kahono as well as Kiato setting up new goals, and that would be precisely to like ensure that like to help precisely in any way possible to go through any extreme extent to like eventually ensure that like Noel eventually get is able to like build up the courage to be able to like express her true feelings to Asta. Just definitely with that being like that like second role of like both uh, Kiato as well as Kahono. And considering with that goal in their mind, they will be saying their temporary goodbye once again to like Asta and Noel before like the by the time like the festival would be ending, like that will be how like they would be like temporarily back once again parting ways with like Asta and Noel. It's like the scenario that I was looking at with the so like definitely my question very interesting right now, Charlie, with those two recent new friends of Seke, the rival of Asta from like the green frame and the second was different. Those two new friends of Seke would be most likely the newest members of like the Green Prime Man. This is definitely not the then considering like the captain of like Green Prime Man, like Jack might have definitely had like other reasons, other precise because like first of all, my talking to members is that like those two members would be like one of the newest members of like the Green Prime Man, and they might have only gotten into the Green Prime Man management, but not through the not by like putting up the great performance in like the management at all, especially in the maybe they might have not even attended like the management and the time like Jack when they like maybe at the Green Prime this like my squad might have ran into the two of them like during one of their missions, and maybe Jack might have had like some specific reason to potentially choose the two of them. Maybe it might be out of sympathy, or like maybe for some reason like Jack might not only have some specific reasons for like sticking those two to be like the newest members of like the Prime Matter to definitely members of the Revolution. Like so like the claim about the revolution right now is that basically right now I'm not only putting like with like second for strategy to like win girls over like I'm not only putting that straight away only backfiring with like right now I'm not putting second to like essentially like friends with like two friends to like assess this year like Asta and Noel, and I'm also bring Asta to like not all get scared at all on seeing them, but like I'm also bring Noel totally getting scared and like about the parting then was totally getting kind of like scenario that I'm bring and right then like Seke totally showing up and Seke might have not at that point realized that it's basically Noel and that stuff. So like Seke like might be totally hiding. Seke would be only hearing like the shouting or like screaming in fear of like Noel, and basically Seke would be totally jumping into like the scene without realizing who exactly it was that was like screaming in fear. And Seke like jumping into like the scene, like Seke who was like hiding, like totally jumping into the scene, and at that point like Seke like totally being confused on seeing that it's like Noel along with like Asta. So like I'm going to bring straight away like Noel will be protecting like straight away like like straight away Noel like attacking Sege like the scenario that I was saying and make it totally destroying Sege and making Sege feel as if like uh, making Sege regret like even doing what he did like basically so, like the scenario that I was protecting, and with that like but bring Noel totally being like even though Noel might have been like initially scared on entering into like the haunted house like until the bring after like totally like defeating like basically Noel might have had this like sudden surge of like courage and boldness, and I'm delivering Noel thought, and at that point, I was bringing Noel with that sudden surge in like courage, like I was bringing Noel totally getting overconfident, and like Noel totally deciding to like deal the way into like deep into like the content of house, and basically Noel telling Asta to like follow Noel, and Noel totally maybe even making fun of Asta, like and basically like Noel like totally in an overconfident manner, like totally leading the way, and that was the bring at that point like actual like the actual people who are like part of this like haunted house game, like basically like only showing up to scare no and at that point I was separating. Still at that point I was separating most likely as on getting scared, but like Noel totally getting scared, genuinely extremely scared was like the scenario that time was everything. And at that point like Kahono would be like secretly spy would be totally getting exactly what she was want and like Kahono getting to see exactly what she wanted to see at that point. It's like the image of scenario that I was looking at. That's totally breaking like the core Kiato half as well. It's like the even the scenario that I was remembering and I was remembering. Yes, so like certainly my injury and production right now, but like the little girl trying like this knee and just like Asta on one side is quick and like the Kiato doing just like dance and like with like a Hono thing, funny song of like Asta and basically it's like no one like comforting like the child like basically collectively like showing all this like in front of like all this in front of uh, to precisely cheer up like the little girl and doing them all collectively doing all this in front of like that whole entire people who has this extreme prejudice towards like prejudice and everything in their minds like basically this unforgettable thing would be like this collective effort will be like totally marking that as the beginning of like change. It's definitely my perspective. Collective and unforgettable. This would be like a foreshadowing that eventually in like the future, like there will be absolutely relevance not just for Einstein, like that eventual change happening with like people totally like losing the with like the public totally eventually overcoming all their prejudice and like showing more of a comparison to like everyone like basically for that whole change happening, like this will be that beginning and starting point. Like them witnessing what they're all that crowd like with like presence, like witnessing what they're witnessing, like basically with all of them like Asta, Noel, Kiato, and uh, Asta, Noel, Kiato, as well as like Kahono, like all of them like them alone, like not showing any prejudice at all, and like only doing putting in all that effort just to like make that. Little girl smile, like basically like being like the entire public like witnessing this, and I'm just different eventually like as like they will be like for collectively doing this like I'm just different eventually for like the trying little girl to like laugh out with like absolute pure joy and like that laugh of that pure and innocent laugh of that child would be that absolute icing on the top, which would be like creating like which would be like sparking that like beginning of that change like and like start the beginning of that feeling of like and freeing of all the prejudice minds of all the public. That is, this would be like the marking that beginning and just specifically to my book, I mentioned that this would be like a foreshadowing to like eventual distant future where like it wouldn't just be as alone. That would be like putting in all the effort to like make them change, but like no one would be only be in like even in like distant future, like no one would be like exactly like how even before Asta had was like about to step into like basically like comfort like the crying child like even before that like no one stepping up to like comfort like the crying girl like basically that like basically will be solely due to that influence that Asta's presence might have or by this time like they might have created that influence Asta might have created like Asta's like empathy would have created in Noel that that change that Asta might have by now uh, like inflicted onto like Noel to be the reason for like Noel right now even stepping in even before us that like the second part that and I'm to bring this in a similar manner like precisely Kahono as well as like Kiato as well who were like totally focused on money and money alone like them even like Kahono someone who like in like the very beginning even was like I think were who was like totally trying to like charge like Noel for like any help from Kahono and all that. Noelle and asked for any help from Kahono and all that. And maybe after this process, like creating this like ripple effect where like it brings about change in like bringing about change after the extreme empathy is like bringing about change in like not just Noelle but like Kahono and Kiato and now collectively like them all like creating another set of like ripple effect that will be spreading out through this current audience that huge audience that are basically witnessing like Asta and through like basically going on just to like make to cheer up that crying child and basically that way like the ripple effect of like empathy which will be like eventually overcoming like the prejudice minds of like the people of like the public which would be like eventually like spreading more and more eventually into like collectively like all of these people like Asta, Kiato, and like Noel and Kahon, all of them like eventually in the distant future like playing major roles like major important and tribal roles in like making this like spreading of empathy uh, even more intense and spread even more faster across the world. Like in like the Twitter, like these people will be like these plus four people would definitely have an extremely important role to play in that happening. Definitely my personal experience. And it couldn't just be like these people alone, but like I'm considering eventually Mars and like basically Pansel and crew, Mark and like Fana and like them all would totally have the roles to play, and it would just feel like Aska alone, like doing like creating that, bring about that change all by himself, but it should be like a collective effort that eventually would be creating that absolute ripple effect that will be bring about that absolute change in like this like the entire world like changing in such a manner through those ripple effect eventually like the very recent there is definitely the scenario that I'm looking and definitely my person very like my consideration like according to like this exact theory I'm looking at or something like so that like eventually that's the whole circle effect happening eventually in like the very distant future and that's different so that like once like finally in like the very distant future once like Asta will be finally becoming like the sort thing like the next result thing like at that point I'm delivering like one Asta would be becoming like the next thing Asta would be like the first question would be that Asta I'm delivering to be making would be like to be take away the hierarchy and basically that way like at that point but like I'm talking about by then like the like form of like way more than like half but like almost like the majority of like the entire public people across the world would be totally accepting would have had that absolute change through Asta and like all of their like efforts like eventually like repeated efforts and this was only marking the beginning like the current effort that Asta and Blue are doing right now just to cheer up like that crying little girl in front of that uh, huge audience with a prejudice thinking in their mind like this. That would only be marked in the beginning and I'm also trying eventually as time passes like as stand pro like repeatedly doing all sorts of like actions which would be like be witnessed by like the public again and again into like eventually them coming to that awareness and realization that basically through their prejudice through them being like prejudiced and through their thinking like the extreme wholesomeness and joy that of life that they have been like sacrificing solely to like just hold on to like the prejudice thinking. Basically like the rest of the world eventually coming to that realization and awareness and then the different so that like eventually by the time like our staff will be in like the various instances will finally becoming like the king and declaring that removal of the hierarchy about liberating and people land like the removal of hierarchy basically like and like that basically whether a human have mana or not mana like it being like absolutely irrelevant like being human like after saying that being human is what matters and basically all that like basically and by then like once Asta would be becoming like the second like Asta would be like also enforced straight away like declaring that humans and should like live amongst each other. And I'm considering eventually like the ancient ancestors like I'm considering he might actually in like that final war that would be taking place. I'm considering like it would be most likely only like the ancient ancestors alone that would be dying. But like I'm considering like the Sunday as well as like Raya and Beto as well as the person to definitely survive. And like there will be remaining tribes as well that would be still alive. A bunch of like remaining intact rights as well might be still alive and somewhere. That's definitely my preference. So like the coexistence of like the elves and humans as well would be one thing. Like on top of like removing the hierarchy, like the coexistence of like elves and humans would be one other major decision that Asta would be making straight away at once like Asta would be the usually find difficult of the thing, especially in a person. But like since like by that time, like according to my person theory, like Asta would have created a lot of that ripple effect terms of different like the majority like the world would have totally changed into like more of like a from and would be like moving away from like projectic singing and into more into like an empathetic manner than basically the majority of like, the world by then would have totally would have mostly changed so that like once Asta would be declaring all these decisions and making all these decisions as like there was a thing at that point it would be totally acceptable and it would be straight away totally acceptable and agreeable for like the majority across of like the people across the world. It's definitely like the mental scenario that I'm totally putting in my personal. So that's definitely my personal impression right now. And for like no like exceptional speech, like basically that I'm just referring to like that would be like totally that news about that incident going to like totally spread and definitely going to reach like the entirety of like the Silva family and like the entirety of like the Silva family and like everything or the entirety, but like all of like no siblings are definitely going to like without much delay and especially during like the especially since it's like the staff as well and the siblings especially by the time like it's like all the night squad along with the squad captains will be gathering like and so when it's time so when we almost around nearing time for like the thing to like award like the staff to like the night squad like just before that so like when it's like close to that time like I'm putting all the remaining night squads as well as the squad captain showing up and by then like they would have like the news would have already reached the and that brings in our family that it's about like Noel speech and Noel action of like basically uh like cheering up like that little girl and everything. So like basically that totally encouraging them and like Noel especially Noel all of them like not just Noel but like Noel siblings as well like totally being enraged and like them totally feeling embarrassed about like Noel's acting. It's like the scenario that I'm looking and then totally showing up in front of Noel to like precisely top down on Noel. It's like the scenario that I was different, but like definitely my personal impression that by now towards the current Noel, like the present day Noel would be not like the old Noel, and definitely it would be all due to like the influence of Asta that Noel is like as strong as he is like today, and basically at that point, like while the Silva family would be like desperately trying to talk down on Noel, like I'm totally referring Noel, like probably talking back exactly like Asta, like I'm saying. Noel would be like Asta wouldn't even have to like intervene, like I'm Noel by herself, like talking back to her siblings and basically wouldn't be even like even remotely at all would be even affected by like the things have not really won't be affected by like things that condescending words of like siblings, but like no one would be also talking back to them. Is like the scenario that I was different. That way, like an absolute strong and bold no one is what I'm was liberating at that point. It's definitely my personal impression. And after that only being shocked at that extreme growth in like no one at that point is like definitely my personal impression. And uh, even right now, as like Noel gave the speech in front of like all the crowd that had gathered, like basically about like the whole prejudice and all that, like thing and all that. And basically at that point, like the fact that like them all like clearly like the moment like Noel even entered the speech, like them all celebrating was my person that was precisely due to that the specific fact that like Noel is like it was like actually a speech delivered by a royal. And participating like even those public that had gathered around like basically those people who only gets to live in that precise location like since like the country is divided into like three countries so like those public the different people who majority of those publics that gathered there were like were listening to like no speech were like the majority of them might have been uh, like might have been like people who living in that country is definitely my personal level. So like even for them all like no one like a royalty would be like no one like a royalty title would be something that even those public great number of public would be like only looking up to us. It's definitely my personal level. So like that someone like that someone like a royal someone who holds like the royal position like basically even talking about like their friends thing and all that, that might have only created that massive impact because like basically like all those great number of crowd that have gathered like them all witnessing Noel like royalty at that point like on realizing that Noel was like a royal like basically and then realizing that like this girl once after like being a royal like basically even while being a royal like basically like did all that comforting and all that of that little girl and cheer her up and did all that to cheer her up and basically even that adding up with like Noel speech like might through that like basically Noel throwing that through it wasn't just through actions alone it wasn't just through words alone but like even Noel having thrown in front of all that and that crowd that basically through words as well as through actions like Noel stands by what she said like basically Noel actually like that and through like that being like absolutely convincing for that entire audience that no one actually means that the royalty, like no one actually means what she says. That might have only eaten up something within themselves. Like I'm remembering that was prejudice thing, like basically, even while like those crowd would like mainly look down on like on people from other countries, like still was different like when someone like no one goes like a royalty is not like the realization that someone like Noel whom they all would be looking up towards like it's not doing the same thing that they are doing and it's not looking down towards them. Like that realization might have freed something within their heart and might have created like an extreme wholesome levels of like an extreme comfort and freedom within their heart. And that might be the and brought about that absolute joy within their heart, that absolute joy of like freedom and absolute empathy and all that. Like basically, that might have created that absolute joy within them. That like they might have only felt like that crowd might have only felt at peace and like the way the at the realization that like no one royalty doesn't look down on all of them. So like basically. Not only on all of them, but like also on like the people of like the other countries as well, unlike them. So like that might have created like let out like some sort of like disturbance that might have always lied within all this great crowd of people like that disturbance of like that feeling due to their persistent thinking that might have totally escaped their heart at that point and basically at that point then all might have realized that absolute freedom of like letting all that persistent thinking go and basically that might have brought about instantly brought about all that joy and that would be the success reason for all the great crowd of people like really instantly celebrating like and shouting and celebrating so basically as no one ended her speech is definitely my very inspiration and this definitely is like that precise ripple effect that you know is like along with the cast and crew is like basically creating is definitely my personal impression and even though as is like the protagonist, definitely my personal impression is that like definitely right now it's my personal impression that like even though as is like the protagonist like it precisely it's Noel that basically started that how basically started it all like started that absolute ripple effect of like changing like the public and removing the public of like the their like just thinking and like that whole creating like creating like the beginning, setting that marking that start at like the beginning of turning the world into like a more peaceful and empathetic and peaceful place, like basically of kindness, like basically that all that like precisely being started precisely by not the protagonist as but like by precisely Noel through her speech specifically, like even more than the actions, like with her cheering up the little girl, like with the speech of Noel is what like effectively topped it all off and basically and that instilled that basically that point that basically Noel and all of them had like what that absolute ideology like that absolute true ideology that was like lying within like Noel as and like people like Kahono and like Kiato, like basically through Noel's speech, like basically it's actually being like properly like spread through being able to like spread through the audience and thus the like that ripple effect like that way being formed perfectly through Noel's speech is like what might have definitely happened right now. It's definitely my particular impression. So that doesn't even put into the impression. That's for, right now it's for like the Jack, like the captain's like the prime and the Jack was like Yami fight. Like I'm going to bring it would be definitely a friendly rivalry battle where like like Jack wanting to like settle the score with Jack with like Yami. I'm going to bring the settling of the scores would be only Jack by settling of the score like Jack will be only talking about like basically definitely my personal impression is definitely that Jack and Yami might have fought like multiple times in the past, and each of those times it will be each and every single of those times in like the past, like the fight might have took place only due to like Jack being so desperate to like want to like have rematches against like Yami, simply because each and every single time Jack it will be like Jack that would be sort of really wanting to like prove that he's like stronger than Yami precisely because of like each and every time Jack would be like the right person that would be losing to Yami. So like from Yami's point of view, Yami won't be even considering Jack as like his rival precisely because Yami will be well and fully aware of like his like Yami's like true levels of strength. So like Yami would be like absolutely sure that he's like stronger than Jack. So like it would be like Jack that would be like always the phrase to like take it and would be repeatedly like the past might have challenged like Yami. And I was different like Yami totally like when Yami will be getting like when with like the it will be like solely due to like the extreme nagging of like Jack on Yami with like on Yami with this like a repeated like asking for like a rebuttal. It will be only at that point when like Yami would be tired of it that Yami would be even accepting it, like uh, his challenge and would be even fighting his Stephanie Michaels with everything. But in the case of Jack, like I'm the different Jack would be totally seeing Yami as his like ultimate rival. He wants to like one day defeat and prove that he's stronger than Yami. It's definitely my personal emotion. So like definitely my personal emotion that like right now it would definitely be solely the like I don't serious like battle. It's definitely obviously my personal emotion. But like I'm bring most likely in this fight, like definitely Yami and this fight I'm referring to only progress to only just a certain extent before that fight will be interrupted. It's like the scenario that I'm referring. That fight between like Yami and Jack right now that would be about to take place. That fight won't be reaching its like conclusion. Even before that, like that fight will be precisely interrupted. It's like the scenario that I'm going to know for what to happen and my personal impression the limit of their impression right now is that like even though initially it was like Noel that has fallen for Asta, like even though right now Asta would be like right now for me feeling after and especially precisely after like Noel feeling like even though right now Asta is like feeling kind of like an affection towards like Noel, still I'm considering Asta to be kind of like not having that absolute clarity as for like what he is exactly feeling towards like Noel, and I'm considering Asta only reaching that absolute clarity as to like him actually genuinely that he actually genuinely loves Noel and wants to like marry Noel. Like basically after reaching that clarity of thought only in like the very distant future respectively my bosom remit. And once Asta would be like reaching that clarity of thought and realizing that basically this Noel that's like the one in his life and that he wants to marry and basically not physical anything. At that point, definitely I was differing. In Asta's case, like at the moment Asta realizes that like without any hesitation, unlike in Noah's case, like without any hesitation at all. Like the moment in Asta's case, like the only issue would be like the lack of clarity for Asta himself. So like I'm differing once Asta would be like by himself gaining that eventually prove his like adventures with like Noah by Asta by himself would be eventually gaining that clarity that he genuinely loves Noel and wants Noel to be and Noel wants to marry Noel. Like at that point, like without any once Asta realized that with clarity, like without any hesitation at all, I'm like expecting Asta to tell that to like Noel. And I'm just expecting like that would be how like it's like basically it eventually happening between like Asta and Noel. So definitely my personal revelation. And I'm just preparing after that like once like Asta would be like eventually, and I'm preparing maybe this to happen precisely maybe right before or like right after like Asta become like the thing would be when like Asta would be gaining that absolute clarity. It's also like an eventual possible scenario that I'm preparing. Like, so anyway, like after this would be happening, like I'm also preparing like Asta and Pro like or like Asta and Noel basically returning to like cage villages like an eventual distant future scenario that I'm preparing. And at that point I'm preparing Sister Lilia totally making fun of Asta telling us that like Asta has like totally cheated on like Sister Lily. And at that point, like Asta totally is crossing out and turning red while all of a sudden like Sister Lily as well as like the entirety of like the as well as the father and really all the children from Asta's like home in like the case village, like they them all would have grown up a lot by then, and basically them all totally laughing at last at like the eventual distance scenario that I was only and my doesn't be